Have you ever wondered why some elderly people live alone, yet still appear radiant, calm, and full of happiness, while others feel lonely and empty every single day? Perhaps you are at an age where loved ones have gradually passed away, your children have grown up and are now busy with their own lives. Mornings no longer echo with laughter and conversation. Evenings grow longer and quieter. Living alone was never what you wished for, yet now it has become an unavoidable reality. Michael, a 72-year-old man living in the state of Oregon, once took nearly 3 years after his wife passed away to learn how to eat dinner alone without turning on the television to fill the silence. At first, he would go on walks just to pass the time, but then he began to notice the sound of birdsong, to smell the scent of pine after the rain, and to realize he wasn't truly lonely. He was simply learning how to be present with himself. The truth is, society often makes us believe that happiness only comes from having a spouse, from being surrounded by children and grandchildren. But if we cling to that belief, we'll forever miss the chance to live fully, even when we're on our own. You can absolutely learn how to live alone, not just to endure it, but to truly enjoy it. This sharing will offer profound insights from the wisdom of the elderly, along with simple practices to help you rediscover peace in everyday moments. From savoring a cup of coffee to strolling through the park and feeling content without needing anyone by your side. If you're seeking tranquility in an increasingly noisy world, stay with me. Leave a comment below, because perhaps your story will inspire someone who needs it most. Now let's begin this journey, the journey of learning how to be happy, even when you are on your own. Living alone in old age is not easy. It's a reality that many older adults face. When children leave the nest, a spouse passes away, or relationships gradually fade. But that doesn't mean you've failed. There's nothing wrong with feeling lonely. The only mistake is when we deny that feeling and force ourselves to appear fine just because we fear others will think we're weak. Loneliness is not a sentence. It can be an invitation to look inward, not through the lens of others, not influenced by the rush of the outside world. At this age, perhaps for the first time in your life, you finally have enough space to truly listen to yourself. You no longer have to play any roles for anyone, not as a parent, a spouse, or a model employee. You only need to be yourself, and that is enough. There is something many people don't say out loud. We often feel ashamed of living alone, as if life were some kind of competition, and not having a companion in old age is a sign of deficiency. But ask yourself, who defined that? Is a person's worth really measured by how many people surround them, or by the peace they cultivate within? Instead of viewing loneliness as a lack, see it as a chance to return to what you once neglected. Old hobbies, private thoughts, the small things that busy life once made you overlook. When you stop comparing yourself to others, to couples walking in the park, to families gathering on weekends, you begin to see your own beauty, a beauty that doesn't come from being chosen by someone else, but from choosing yourself. Self-acceptance is the first step to freeing yourself from the invisible pressure of social expectations. When you sit with yourself and listen to all your emotions, both the sadness and the stillness, you are laying the foundation for real healing. And only when you accept loneliness can you turn it into a space for discovery, for creativity, and for living most authentically. If you're in that stage where everything feels so eerily quiet, know that you are not alone. Millions are learning to live with loneliness, and many have turned it into a gift. Start by being gentle with yourself. Stop blaming yourself for not holding on to relationships. Stop pretending to be okay just to please others. You don't have to be strong all the time. You only need to be honest with yourself. There is a common, though increasingly outdated notion that happiness must come from having a full family, surrounded by children and grandchildren, or at least a lifelong partner by your side. But when you live alone, especially in your later years, those images can feel not only out of reach, but also make you question the value of your current life. In reality, happiness doesn't necessarily come from the grand things that society praises. It can quietly emerge in the most ordinary moments. When you sip a hot cup of coffee in the morning, when sunlight filters through the window, or when you go for a walk and feel the cool breeze brushing your skin. When you're no longer caught up in the role of being someone in others' eyes, you finally have the chance to ask yourself, what makes me feel alive? Maybe you once loved detective novels, but family responsibilities made you forget. Maybe you once loved art, wanted to learn how to paint or visit museums, but never gave yourself the time. Now, with no one left to serve or accommodate, you can choose again for yourself. Imagine a weekend day when, instead of staying home feeling lonely, you decide to visit a local art museum. You're not rushing after anyone, nor do you have to worry whether others are bored. You're allowed to stand still in front of a painting, letting your inner emotions speak. At that moment, you're not just going out alone. You're redefining happiness for yourself. There are people who learn to have dinner alone at their favorite restaurant, not because no one invited them, but because they chose to. Because they discovered that, without the need to talk to fill the silence, they could savor the taste, feel the atmosphere, and truly be present. Society may tell you being alone is sad, but only you have the right to decide whether that is true for you. Happiness is not a fixed destination. It is a feeling you create from small, everyday experiences. If you're still searching for something big to make you feel joyful again, try stepping back a little. Observe your day. Is there a moment that brings you comfort? Something you do that makes you lose track of time? That's your clue. Happiness sometimes is simply being able to live fully in a moment without needing anyone to validate it. And the most beautiful thing is, you don't have to wait for someone else to be happy. You can start today by giving yourself a quiet moment, revisiting an old hobby, or simply taking a walk without feeling pressured to make conversation. Because in the end, happiness is not when you have someone to live with. It's when you can truly live with yourself. Happiness doesn't come from grand transformations, but from small, consistent steps each day. This is especially true for those learning to live alone in their later years. You may have once thought, I have to do something truly special to feel happy again. But the truth is, lasting joy often blooms from the simplest actions. Start the day by making your bed. It may sound trivial, but that feeling of creating order and taking initiative is the beginning of a sense of control. Open the window to let in natural light, not just to air out the room, but as a way of opening yourself to a new day. These seemingly small actions carry the message, I am taking care of myself. You may have once loved painting, pottery, or even playing an instrument, but for various reasons, you've left them behind. Now that time is no longer a barrier. Try to rekindle those interests. Don't pressure yourself to be good at them. Just focus on enjoying the process. Paint a picture that doesn't look great? That's okay. What matters is that you spent time on something that makes your heart feel alive. Establishing a few small positive habits can create an incredible ripple effect. As you begin to feel more content with yourself, you'll naturally attract other positive experiences, like a short chat with a neighbor or an invitation to a community gathering. Joining book clubs at the local library or senior centers is also a wonderful way to nurture joy. You don't have to make friends right away. Just being there, listening, sharing a little, is enough to create a sense of connection. Sometimes your simple presence in a room, surrounded by people reading the same book, can gently heal the quiet within. If social interaction feels daunting, try starting with light volunteer work. For example, organizing books at a library, helping at an animal rescue center, or planting trees with the community. When you give, even just your time, energy, or a smile, you are also filling yourself with purpose. You don't need to have a lot of friends to feel like you belong. A few quality moments of connection, a compassionate glance, a sincere question, or a shared laugh with a stranger at the store can be enough to spark that feeling of being seen in the world. Most importantly, allow yourself to progress at your own pace. Don't force yourself to feel better right away. Every small step, whether it's opening the curtains, brewing a cup of tea, or walking around the block, is a sign that you are choosing to live and to live with meaning. Because sometimes it is from the simplest of habits that you begin to feel joy again. Not loud, not dazzling, but warm and longer lasting than anything else. In the later years of life, health is no longer something you should care about. It becomes the foundation for living joyfully and with quality, even when you're on your own. Your body and mind are like two sides of the same coin. When you take good care of one, the other is lifted too. Yet sometimes the most basic things get neglected, either because they seem too simple or because you think, at this point, what can I really change? The truth is, it's never too late. Every small action you take today contributes to a healthier, more peaceful version of yourself tomorrow. Drinking enough water, something that sounds so basic, yet is often overlooked by many older adults. Keep a small water bottle near your usual sitting spot, add a few slices of lemon or mint for aroma, and turn it into a self-care ritual. Not because the doctor says so, but because you deserve to be cared for, down to the smallest details. Walking daily, you don't have to go far, just a few laps around the house or the neighborhood, helps blood circulation, reduces stress, and brings a sense of connection with the world around you. Pay attention to how you feel after each light movement. A bit more relaxed, a little happier. That feeling is the most natural, emotional medicine you can create for yourself. Eating healthy, it doesn't have to be a strict diet. Simply add more green vegetables to your meals, limit processed foods, and observe how your body responds. When you appreciate your food and eat mindfully, you're nourishing both your body and your soul. Beyond the physical, your mind also needs exercise. One of the simplest yet most profound habits is practicing gratitude. Each night before bed, write down 3 things you're grateful for that day, even if it's as small as a sunny day or someone smiled at me in the supermarket. When you direct your attention toward the positive, you're training your brain to break free from negative patterns and gradually build a more optimistic mindset. Most importantly, pay attention to how you speak to yourself. Older adults often carry heavy self-criticisms. I should have. If only I had. I'm too old to. But you can rewrite that inner script. Instead of saying, I don't have anyone beside me, try, I'm learning to stand on my own. Instead of, I've missed too much, try, I still have time to create something meaningful. Make time for stillness, not to feel lonelier, but to reconnect with yourself. Turn off the TV, put your phone aside, and sit by the window or in a garden corner. Just breathe and feel your body being alive. You don't need to meditate deeply. Just being fully present in the moment is enough. When you take care of yourself, you're not just improving your health. You're sending a message to yourself. I am worthy. And from there, you begin to rebuild your faith in life, step by small step, toward days that feel fuller and more meaningful. Losing a life partner after decades together is one of the greatest shocks anyone can experience. For many, it's not just the grief of loss, it's the confusion over identity. Who am I if I'm no longer someone's husband or wife? Sarah's story is a powerful reminder that happiness can still return, even after what feels like an irreparable fracture. After 41 years of marriage, Sarah became a widow at the age of 68. The first few weeks were a whirlwind of tears, memories, and an indescribable emptiness. There were mornings she couldn't bring herself to get out of bed, and evenings when the silence felt so heavy, she turned on the radio just to drown out the sound of her own thoughts. But what made Sarah's journey remarkable wasn't the pain, it was the way she faced it and moved forward. She didn't try to get over it quickly, nor did she run from the sadness. Instead, she chose to do something seemingly small. She signed up for a painting class at the community center. She wasn't an artist, nor did she think she had talent. But once a week, stepping outside, holding a paintbrush, and listening to herself became a ritual. Over time, that class became a space where she felt seen, not for her past, but for the fact that she was still alive. From there, Sarah joined a book club at the library. No one there asked, "Do you have a family?" They simply read and shared together. Through the pages of each book, she found her voice again, the voice long buried beneath her roles as wife, mother, and grandmother. A few months later, she began volunteering at a local animal shelter. Taking care of abandoned dogs and cats didn't erase the pain of her loss, but it helped her open her heart in a new way. When a living creature needs you, even just to pour food or offer a gentle touch, you feel that you matter. not because of the past, but because of the present. Sarah didn't try to erase the memory of her late husband. She didn't run. She let the memories stay as part of her journey, but didn't let them hold her back. She gave herself permission to keep living, to keep learning, to keep loving in a different way. No longer romantic love, but love for herself, for life, and for the small, ordinary things. Sarah's story isn't a fairy tale with a perfect ending. It's an honest testament that happiness isn't about going back to the way things were, but about continuing forward, slowly but with intention. Whether you're still in the early stages of grief or it has been some time, remember this. You don't have to forget to move on. You only need to take small steps, find a class, a club, a volunteer activity, and from there you'll begin to see the light filtering through the cracks. Because sometimes it's the smallest things, a messy painting, a dog being petted, a sentence that makes you smile, that can save you. And eventually you'll realize you can be happy even after the greatest losses. Thank you for spending your precious time accompanying me on this journey. I understand living alone in old age is not easy, but as long as you're still listening, still willing to learn and to heal, then you are already a strong person. We've explored 5 different perspectives together. Now I invite you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, what have I learned for myself? What step will you take today? A mindful cup of tea, a walk in the park, or simply calling someone you've missed? Feel free to share your thoughts with me below, even just one line, because your words might touch the heart of someone else who needs them. If you found this content helpful, please don't hesitate to click like, share it with someone you care about, or subscribe to this channel to continue walking with me through future videos. Every small action from you is a great motivation for me to keep sharing healing messages. I believe that happiness has no universal formula, but it always begins with the choice to live fully today. Stay with me, not just in this video, but in this community of people who are learning to love themselves, little by little, because it's never too late to begin again. And you are never truly alone when you've learned how to befriend yourself.